All right. We are on a roll today. I'm going to finish off some of the 613 commandments for those that are keeping up with the study. If you do not know me, my name is Tiffany. I am a certified wellness coach, certified personal trainer, and a certified energy healer. By birth, I am an oracle, prophetess, and a natural healer. The next section here is going to be the court and judicial procedures. We're going to start with number 227. As I stated before, please pause the video, write it down, write the commandment, write the scriptures, and then go to it afterwards and actually study. Also read above and below so that you can get the context of the information. All right, so 227. To appoint judges and officers in every community of Israel. To appoint judges and officers in every community of Israel. Deuteronomy 16:18. Deuteronomy 16:18. Number 228. Not to appoint a judge, not to appoint as a judge a person who is not well versed in the laws of the Torah, even if he is an expert in other branches of knowledge. Not to appoint as a judge a person who is not well versed in the laws of the Torah, even if he is an expert in other branches of knowledge. Deuteronomy 117. Deuteronomy 117. Number 229. To adjudicate. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. I'm going to spell it ADJUD as in dog, ICAT as in Tom, E. Cases of purchase and sale. To adjudicate cases of purchase and sale. Leviticus 25:14. Leviticus 25:14. All right. Number 230. To judge cases of liability of a paid depository. To judge cases of liability of a paid depository. Exodus 22:9. Exodus 22:9. Number 231. To judge cases of loss for which a gratuitous I can't pronounce it, gratuitous borrower is liable. To judge cases of loss for which a gratuitous borrower is liable. Exodus 22 verses 13 through 14. Exodus 22 verses 13 through 14. Number 232. To adjudicate cases in inheritance. To adjudicate cases, inheritance. Right, Numbers 27, 8 through 11. Numbers 27, 8 through 11. Number 233. To judge cases of damage caused by an uncovered pit. To judge cases and damages caused by an uncovered pit. Exodus 21, verses 33 through 34. Exodus 21, verses 33 through 34. Number 234. To judge cases of injuries caused by beast. To judge cases of injuries caused by beast. Exodus 21, verses 35 through 36. Exodus 21, verses 35 through 36. Number 235. To adjudicate cases of damage caused by trespass of cattle. To adjudicate cases of damage caused by trespass of cattle. Exodus 22, 4. Exodus 22, 4. Number 236. To adjudicate cases of damage caused by fire. To adjudicate cases of damage caused by fire. Exodus 22, 5. Exodus 22, 5. Number 237. To adjudicate cases of damage caused by a gratuitous depository. To adjudicate cases of damage caused by a gratuitous depository. Exodus 22, 6 through 7. Exodus 22, verses 6 through 7. Number 238. To adjudicate other cases between a plaintiff and a defendant. To adjudicate other cases between a plaintiff and a defendant. Exodus 22, 8. Exodus 22, 8. Number 239. Not to curse a judge. not to curse a judge. Exodus 22, verse 27. Exodus 22, 27. Number 240, that one who possesses evidence shall testify in court. That one who possesses evidence shall testify in court. Leviticus 5, 1. Leviticus 5, 1. Number 241, not to testify falsely. Not to testify falsely. Exodus 20, 13. Exodus 20, 13. Number 242, that a witness who has testified in a capital case shall not lay down the law in that particular case. That a witness who has testified in a capital case shall not lay down the law in that particular case. Numbers 35:30. Numbers 35:30. Number 243, that a transgressor shall not testify. That a transgressor shall not testify. Exodus 23, 1. Exodus 23, 1. Number 244, that the court shall not accept the testimony of close relatives of the defendant in matters of capital punishment. That the court shall not accept testimony of a close relative of the defendant in matters of a capital punishment. Deuteronomy 24:16. Deuteronomy 24:16. Number 245, not to hear one of the parties to a suit in the absence of the other party. Not to hear one of the parties to a suit in the absence of the other party. Exodus 23, verse 1. Exodus 23, verse 1. Number 246, not to examine witness. Oh, sorry, I said that wrong. So let's start with that again. I get excited. So, number 246, to examine witnesses thoroughly. To examine witnesses thoroughly. Deuteronomy 13:15. Deuteronomy 13:15. Number 247, not to decide a case on the evidence of a single witness. Not to decide a case on the evidence of a single witness. Deuteronomy 19:15. Deuteronomy 19:15. Number 248, to give the decision according to the majority when there is a difference of opinion among the members of the Sanhedrin as the matters of law. To give a decision according to the majority where there is a difference of opinion among the members of the Sanhedrin as to matters of law. Exodus 23:2. Exodus 23:2. Number 249, not to decide in a capital cases according to the view of the majority when those who are for condemnation exceed by one only. Those who are for acquittal. Okay, let me repeat it. I'm going to try to say it slower. Not to decide in capital cases according to the view of the majority when those who are for condemnation exceed by one only. Those who are for acquittal. Exodus 23:2. Exodus 23:2. Number 250, that in capital cases, one who had argued for acquittal shall not later on argue for condemnation. That in capital cases, one who had argued for acquittal shall not later on argue for condemnation. Exodus 23:2. Exodus 23:2. Number 251, to treat parties in a litigation with equal impartiality. To treat parties in a litigation with equal impartiality. Leviticus 19:15. Leviticus 19:15. Number 252, not to render excuse me, I'm sorry, let me look at that again. Not to render inquitous tuous decisions. Inquitous, I can't even pronounce it, so I'm going to spell it. Not to render, here's the word. I, N as in Nancy, I, Q, U, I, T as in Tom, O, U, S. I, N as in Nancy, I, Q, U, I, T as in Tom, O, U, S. And the last word is decisions. And we're going to go here with Leviticus 19:15. Leviticus 19:15. Number 253. Not to favor a great man when trying a case. Not to favor a great man when trying a case. Leviticus 19:15. Leviticus 19:15. Number 254. Not to take a bribe. Not to take a bribe. Exodus 23:8. Exodus 23:8. Number 255. Not to be afraid of a bad man when trying a case. Not to be afraid of a bad man when trying a case. Deuteronomy 1:17. Deuteronomy 1:17. 256. Not to be moved in trying a case by the poverty of one of the parties. Not to be moved in trying a case by the poverty of one of the parties. Exodus 23:3. Exodus 23:3, also found in Leviticus 19:15. Leviticus 19:15. Number 257. Not to pervert the judgment of strangers or orphans. Not to pervert the judgment of strangers or orphans. Deuteronomy 24:17. Deuteronomy 24:17. Number 258. Not to pervert his judgment, not to pervert the judgment of a sinner. Give me a second. I made a mistake here. Let me correct it on the paper. There we go. Number 258. Not to pervert the judgment of a sinner, a person poor in fulfillment of commandments. All right. So, not to pervert the judgment of a sinner, and in parentheses, put a person poor in the fulfillment of commandments. All right, Exodus 23:6. Exodus 23:6. Exodus 23:6. Number 259. Not to execute one guilty of a capital offense before he has stood his trial. Not to execute one guilty of a capital offense before he has stood his trial. Numbers 35:12. Numbers 35:12. Number 260. Not to execute one guilty of a capital offense before he has stood his trial. I think that was the same one. Yes, it was. But just in case, I think I may have done it twice, guys. I do apologize. That is Numbers 35:12. Everything starts running together when you type in 600 of these, over 600 of these. Sorry about that. So, number 261. Number 261. To accept the ruling of every Supreme Court in Israel. To accept the ruling of every Supreme Court in Israel. Deuteronomy 17:11. Deuteronomy 17:11. Number 262. Not to rebel against the orders of the court. Not to rebel against the orders of the court. Deuteronomy 17:11. Deuteronomy 17:11. I'm going to go ahead and do the next one. So this one's going to be a little longer than the other video just to get some of these out of the way. The next section is going to be injuries and damages. Injuries and damages. So 263. Number 263. To make a parapet for your roof. To make a parapet for your roof. Deuteronomy 22:8. Deuteronomy 22:8. 264. Not to leave something that might cause hurt. not to leave something that may cause hurt. Deuteronomy 22:8. Deuteronomy 22:8. 265. To save the pursued even at the cost of the life of the pursuer. To save the pursued even at the cost of the pursuer. Deuteronomy 25:12. Deuteronomy 25:12. Number 266. Not to spare a pursuer. Not to spare a pursuer, but he is to be slain before he reaches the pursued, enslaved, enslaves the latter, or uncovers his nakedness. All right, so let me repeat that because that was kind of ugh. Some of this is kind of in old English, the way that it's put together. So when we read it, we have to kind of slow down. So let's start number 266 over. Not to spare a pursuer, but he is to be slain before he reaches the pursued, enslaves the latter, or uncovers his nakedness. So that's going to be Deuteronomy 25:12. Deuteronomy 25:12. Definitely look that one up. All right. So let me look really quick. We're going to do one more section just to kind of knock these out. I may do one more video if I have time, but I'm going to go ahead and go to the next section, and that's going to be property and property rights. Property and property rights. I'm putting these together because they go together. So property and property rights. Number 267, not to sell a field in the land of Israel in perpetuity. I'm going to spell that out because I have a hard time pronouncing it. Perpetuity is going to be P as in Paul, E as in Eric, R, P as in Paul, E as in Eric, T as in Tom, U, I, T as in Tom, Y. And that's going to be Leviticus 25:23. Leviticus 25:23. Number 268, not to change the character of the open land, in parentheses, put about the cities of, okay? So not to change the characters of open land, in parentheses, about the cities of the Levites, which is a tribe, of the Levites, or of their fields. Also, added on to there, you're going to put not to sell it in perpetuity, comma, but it may be redeemed at any time. So let's see if we can read that together. Not to change the character of the open land, in parentheses, about the cities of the Levites or of their fields, not to sell it in perpetuity, but it may be redeemed at any time. Leviticus 25:34. Leviticus 25:34. Number 269. That houses sold within a walled city may be redeemed within a year. That houses sold within a walled city may be redeemed within a year. Leviticus 25:29. Leviticus 25:29. Number 270. Not to remove landmarks, in parentheses, put property and boundaries. Not to remove landmarks, in parentheses, put property and boundaries. Deuteronomy 19:14. Deuteronomy 19:14. Give me a moment here. I need to grab some water. All right, let me get back started now that it's gotten back quiet. All right. All right. So 271. Not to swear falsely in denial of another's property rights. Not to swear falsely in denial of another's property rights. Leviticus 19:11. Leviticus 19:11. Number 272. Not to deny falsely another's property rights. Not to deny falsely another's property rights. Leviticus 19:11. Leviticus 19:11. 273. Never to settle in the land of Egypt. Never to settle in the land of Egypt. Deuteronomy 17:16. Deuteronomy 17:16. 274. Not to steal personal property. Not to steal personal property. Leviticus 19:11. Leviticus 19:11. 275. To restore that which one took by robbery. To restore that which one took by robbery. Leviticus 5:23. Leviticus 5:23. Number 276. To return lost property. To return lost property. Deuteronomy 22:1. Deuteronomy 22:1. This is the last one on this video and in this section. 277. Not to pretend not to have seen lost property to avoid the obligation to return it. Not to pretend not to have seen lost property, comma, to avoid the obligation to return it. Deuteronomy 22:3. Deuteronomy 22:3. We're going to end that one there since those go together. The next section will begin with criminal laws, and I'll do that sometime later, maybe not today. Have a great day. Thank you. Love you guys. Have a great day.